This White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation.
Okay, so this country that we're in was settled by indigenous people, right? And yet they named the country after an Italian white man, Amerigo Vespucci.
Yeah.
People did not vote to rename the Gulf of Mexico. They voted because they kept complaining about prices and inflation.
Welcome, Patriots. And in today's video, you will certainly see DeVille collapse with this true lesson that Donald Trump brought about the Gulf of Mexico, of American patriotism, which has left the hosts of DeVille in a frenzy. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready. Here you will see the hosts of Devil whining, while Donald Trump, indeed with the Gulf of Mexico turning into the Gulf of America, undoubtedly puts America first and gives a true lesson on what patriotism and love for America are. Things that the hosts of The View are unaware of.
So White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt announced that the Associated Press has been banned from the Oval Office for not honoring the recent renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Take a look.
It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office. And you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
The White House Correspondents Association released a statement, and it said the White House cannot dictate how news organizations report the news, nor should it penalize working journalists because it is unhappy with their editors' decisions. And the AP is signaling legal action, calling this a violation of their First Amendment rights.
And just look at this hypocrisy. Associated Press crying over constitutional rights. Where were the defenders of freedom while they were censoring patriots and conservatives? Trump is just ensuring that the press respects our country, and who doesn't like the name Gulf of America should stay in their rightful place. Now, high alert, you don't want to truly miss the host of The View revealing her true anti-American agenda. This will shock you.
The reason I got to read that is because I said, you know, it's so funny. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else. I haven't seen that piece of information anywhere else.
What, that it's illegal?
That the AP said, that they said, listen, we're not standing for this.
Right. Yeah.
That's a huge thing, you know, and because I was saying to Robin, I said, you know, they all need to get together and push back. You can't do it one at a time. She said, no, and then she gave me that piece of information. So are they right?
Yes, they are. I mean, we do have the Constitution still, at least in the United States. And, you know, I think the First Amendment is the First Amendment because it's one of the most important amendments, right? And it's freedom of speech. It's the most important, arguably. The press is the direct check for the government overreach. It's the direct check. It's the press reports to the American people the facts of what is really happening. There's no question that the AP should defend its constitutional rights. And what the Trump can, I guess, certainly bar people from the Oval Office, but what they cannot do is tell people what they can say. They cannot do it. The AP style guide is many newsrooms across the country follow the AP style guide. And it was published on January 23rd of this year after the executive order. And what it said was renaming the Gulf of Mexico is one thing, but Trump's order only carries authority within the United States, and other countries do not have to recognize the change. And so they're reporting it accurately.
So I disagree with barring the Associated Press. When I worked in the White House, I always fought for media access, both at home and abroad when we were traveling.
You disagreed with what?
With the decision to bar the Associated Press from being in the Oval Office. I don't actually hate renaming the Gulf of America, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a more inclusive term. It is North America. Mexico and the United States are part of the Americas. It would be petty if he called it the Gulf of the United States by basically saying it's our countries, it's not yours. But these are the things Donald Trump does to trigger reaction from the media, so they cover this and pay more attention than we're wholesale getting rid of government agencies, or we're confirming Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Perfectly fine with the AP covering it how they think.
Funny how these experts from The View forget about the First Amendment when it affects their little friends in the mainstream media. Oh, now the Constitution matters, right? But when it was about silencing and censoring patriots and conservatives, they knew very well how to applaud. Trump is actually draining the swamp of fake news media. It's unbelievable what you are about to see now. How these experts distort everything to attack our President Trump.
Country that we're in was settled by indigenous people, right? And yet they named the country after an Italian white man, Amerigo Vespucci.
Yeah.
That's what America is named after. Amerigo Vespucci,
Well,
a white European. Why is it named after a white man?
Well, let me ask
when it was settled by
North and
indigenous
South America.
people.
Well, let me just add some color, because I didn't know how common it was. Sorry, color, context, all the things. But so technically, that it is okay to rename this. Different people have, Cuba, Mexico, and the U.S. have claims, depending on whether you're talking about conservation or otherwise, hundreds of miles out into the sea. This actually happens in the global economy or in a country. So the body of water south of China, which much of the world calls the South China Sea, China calls it South Sea, Vietnam calls it Eastern Sea, and Philippines has designated parts of it the West Philippine Sea. So it happens. I needed to know that because I was like, why would you wide swath it? And Google and GPS things will call it Gulf of America only in this country. So then if you search it outside, so it's like, it's a little more complicated. It's a dumb thing to hang your hat on.
Why does he care about it when the prices are going up on eggs? Why does it focus on this?
Because arguably, in addition to the bird flu, he's the reason it's going up.
Yeah.
He'd much rather focus on renaming it.
People did not vote to rename the Gulf of Mexico. They voted because they kept complaining about prices and inflation.
That's an uncomfortable topic for him right now.
As far as I can see, inflation is on the rise.
It is on the rise.
Thank you very much.
People will talk about the Gulf of Mexico in the Kennedy Center.
But more important, plastic straws in the Gulf of America. Give me a break.
They are indeed trying to distract attention by talking about inflation, and they really know that Trump is undoubtedly right. Renaming the Gulf is indeed about American pride, something these globalists will never understand. And as for inflation, we are all tired of knowing that it's the result of Biden's disastrous policy. And make no mistake, don't fall for the View's lies. While they truly whine about biased news agencies, Trump indeed puts America absolutely first. And the Gulf of America is just the beginning. We will still see many things to make the left freak out. In the Trump administration, always putting the American people and America first. And if you also agree with this and are tired of this fake news and biased media, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and share this video with as many people as you can with your friends. And let's all go together, because together we will be much stronger. Thank you very much to everyone. See you next time.